I do want to resurface back to an earlier question that we had, and we have 2 questions in our question and answer. And Max, if you can touch on both of these, I think you might be the right person for it. If not, pass it off to Nick. I can't tell who's who in the chat room. So the 2 questions are: why was the Book of Thomas not canonized into what we consider the Holy Bible today? And the second question, which will lead into a short discussion, is Jesus mentioned in the Koran?
Okay, fortunately I read the Koran.
Would you mind going over some of those things with us, Max? Is that all right?
I would love to. I'm going to answer the Jesus Koran one first, just real fast. Yes, but in a lot of really different ways. Instead of being crucified, it says that he was not crucified, but it was made to appear as though he was crucified to the people there. He takes more of a kind of John the Baptist-y role in that he's more pointing the way forward. They tend to believe that the Christian message is a huge corruption from what it was Jesus taught. So yes, but he's different enough that it's hard to say for sure whether or not we can consider him the same character. In terms of the Gospel of Thomas, there's a few reasons that I would point to. The first is that it's verifiably forged. It claims to be authored by Didymus Thomas, which Didymus means twin, and it was following from this kind of idea that Thomas, doubting Thomas, was Jesus' twin and was also Judas. Isn't that right? I don't remember exactly. But
Max, do you know when the Book of Thomas was written?
It was pretty early, pretty danged early. Which is one of its strengths as a non-canonical gospel, is the fact that it is one of the earliest gospelic texts that we have.
40 AD to 140 AD.
First and late 2nd centuries is where scholars generally place it.
Yeah, it's early. But the second thing is, I think that when it was written, which was pretty early, I think that it didn't match up with the theology Christians were preaching, and I think that we can, again, I point back to my point about Paul's epistles, like the stuff he was writing about the other leaders of the church and the disciples leads you to feel kind of like he's struggling a little bit against the disciples on the issue of Judaism and its relationship with Christianity in a way that is the opposite of Paul from where Gnostic texts tend to be. Does that make sense? Like Gnostic texts tend to, and the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Thomas, I don't think explicitly does this, but it is a Gnostic text and represents this line of thought. They tend to reject Judaism altogether, and as they moved forward, Marcion and such even went as far as to say that the Old Testament God was a different God completely. I think that when it came out, it just sounded pretty hokey. Is my personal opinion.
Cool. Let's move on. I hate to cut you short, but we got a lot of topics to cover here. John, you had something to mention? John, Lisa, you're muted right now, so you may have to unmute before you start. But go ahead.
Yeah. I do have something to add. I would like to point out it's kind of laughable to me that we're talking about the Gospel of Thomas being a verified forgery when concerned with the books of the Bible. Because to me they're all forged. They're all fiction. So.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Cool. Can I rebut that? Because that's provably not true.
It's getting very
something that claims to have. Huh? A forgery is something that claims to have one author and actually has a different author. Most of the biblical texts, especially none of the Gospels, can be said to be forged because none of them claim an author.
They're
written
anonymously.
Yeah, they're written anonymously. A forgery by definition is something that lies about its authorship.